Hello and welcome to the Second Row podcast. My name is Parker Kelly, aka the Second Row. I am back again this week to talk about all things Connacht and Irish rugby. And joining me, as always, is Will Foley. How you get on, Will? How was your bank holiday weekend? Given the fact that we're recording this on a Tuesday, I think both our weekends were quite good.
Yes, quite a busy weekend. I was in a tour of the country. I was down home in Wexford, got to go see some puffins. Always a good day. Went out to Salties and saw some puffins, and went down to Cork to support my sister-in-law in the Cork Marathon. She was running the half marathon for the first time and did extremely well. So beat the pacer that she was running with. So we had a very lovely weekend. But it did mean yesterday I was not going to be back to record a podcast in time. Hence why we are recording today. So lovely bank holiday weekend. Avoided the rain. Managed to outrun the rain. Everywhere I went, it was meant to rain, and it did not. And then when I drove back to Dublin, it was like the heavens opened up on Sunday. When I was driving back to Dublin, it was insane.
I was doing bits of gardening between horrendous showers just to clear and weed and all those things that middle-aged men do now. It's the garden and this and that. But yeah, that was our weekend. It was interesting, and there was some rugby played, and there was some fallout from some rugby played. I think more so than anything else.
That too.
But let's start with some of the old rugby news or rumor, really, more so than anything else.
Lots of like moves and shakes and conversations, and like we're right at the end of the silly season, basically, aren't we? Where like final.
This isn't meant to happen this late in a year.
I know
this isn't meant to happen this late in a year. So we'll start with the management one, which I think everyone's checkbook is flying out with. Shaun Edwards is possibly available. I think if rumors of you're out of the France system are floating around, it's more than likely true. Yeah. But who's going to have the biggest checkbook?
Yeah, who's gonna snap him up is the question there, right? Like that's a huge one. From that point of view, you'd imagine. Or if you are going to show some interest there, Australia will probably show some interest there. I mean, are Ireland or one of the clubs going to show? Like, is someone like Leinster going to show some interest there?
I need
given some of the conversations going on that we'll also get to. But like, he could pretty much walk into what job he wants, right? Really, like certainly as a defense coach, like I don't think he's overly.
Do you think he wants to be a head coach now? He's done
the defense coach for a long time.
Yeah, he's been the guy next to the guy for a long time. So
and like an extremely good guy next to the guy. Like, look what he's done with France. Look what he did with Gatland in Wales. Like, he has been incredibly successful as a defense coach. I would assume if that's his move, it's probably to a club next to get some head coach experience.
True. He could go back to rugby league, it's.
Yeah, I mean the money's not there though, right? Like not in the northern hemisphere. But, if you go down south, but I mean, what a free agent, right? Like one of the top coaches in the world is potentially coming free all of a sudden. Mad concept.
I think, and we'll come. This actually kind of link us into some of the other news. I think his style of defensive game plan and coaching style doesn't suit a club. It's very hard to replicate that over 26 games of the year or something like that. How long a season
it's tournament play kind of style. Defense,
which I think if we'll go on to Jacques and Leo against the world at the moment, and this way that they're gonna no, it's the only way to kind of get the siege mentality is to make the press hate them and just go out, which seems to be the plan since the Champions Cup. Again, the exact same thing Leo did last year. He went after the press in every single press conference he could. If someone gave him a hint of an opening, he went, no, you're the problem. Like, you're the one losing finals, lads. You're the one losing matches. So
it's interesting, some of the Jack stuff was interesting around. It's not like the CEO that fires him; it's the fans. And the media. Well, sorry, it's the fans via the media. There was a little bit of it was more of a dig at the media, where the media builds pressure and turn the fans. Obviously, the fans wouldn't do that on their own; it would require the media to. The fans have no agency in this. They couldn't look at a match and decide we don't like a way a team is playing and want a coach to go in that sense.
It's odd. They're odd comments. I can kind of see his frustration. He was coming to do a job. They've won one trophy in the 3 years he's been here. They've been in finals. He can kind of go, look, the defense is trending the right direction. in the main, he can look at stats, go like, we're doing all right defensively, lads. It's not my fault. Kind of the very Sean Edwardsy, like in France when like you said, for France, he's saying it without saying it to a degree. I don't know. It's just I personally think he's a very good coach. I don't think his style of defense suits a 26 league game season, and that would be my kind of take on it. Like, not that he's a bad coach, it's just what he does. Doesn't suit club rugby.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree. I always look, anybody, and if anybody is listening going like Jack Nienaber is not a good coach, he's won back-to-back World Cups, right? Like, what are you talking about? He's an amazing coach.
Yeah, he's a very good coach.
He's one of the best coaches in rugby, hands down. He is the only coach that has lost a game at a Rugby World Cup and won the tournament twice.
Yeah, man knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. There's no arguments there in the slightest. You cannot argue that point in the slightest. What you can argue, and even he makes this point in the interview, is he the right guy for the job you're trying to do?
Yeah.
And I think that is a very valid question in Leinster, and it's probably a question that, like, he's kind of like intimating that, like, maybe his future is not set, even though, like, he's
contracted at the end of next year.
He's contracted at the end of next year, so like the likelihood of him going anywhere, I would say, is slim. In that sense, if they bow out this weekend or next weekend, like if they don't win the URC, maybe that pressure increases. I think certainly if they don't make the final of the URC, that pressure would increase.
Yeah.
To say the least. But, will he want to go? Right. There's always, like, people have speculated forever that he would disappear back to South Africa before the next World Cup. Time will tell on that front, and maybe this is him sowing the seeds of that. But it's, I would agree with you in the sense of, from when he joined, I had concerns about the way South Africa play and how suited that is to a 26 game league, or campaign, like a club campaign, right? Where eking out a 1 point win 3 times in a row is doable. It's incredibly hard to do. Do not get me wrong, and it's at the highest level the game exists. So I'm not undermining that at all. But like, mentally,
physically, kind of putting yourself in that backs against the wall mindset constantly. It's just, I think it's hard to do, and I think it also speaks to. I think he's hinted. If you've listened to a few interviews with Jack over the last couple of weeks of who's actually in charge, who's making the calls, because there's times where he's saying, I'm just a defense coach, but there's other times he's like,
I run the rugby program, and
so it's that whole thing where they were doing this review of, you hear from Bernard Jackman that they're going to like retweak how the whole rugby system is set up. It's like, maybe that's like, there's a lack of clarity there. I think there's lots of little things there that aren't helping Leinster.
I think. Yeah, like if you're to look at it on paper, officially he is the defense coach, right? He's a senior coach, and Leo is the head coach, right? I think a lot of people, though, on a day-to-day, when you look at it,
Leo's a director of rugby.
Leo acts a lot more like a director of rugby. He certainly has a lot more involvement across the levels in terms of what a typical director of rugby would do.
Yeah.
And certainly when Stuart Lancaster was there, a lot of people would have put a lot of credit into Stuart Lancaster, not into Leo Cullen, around like Leinster's success during that time period in terms of the style of play and stuff like that. And I think the major shifts you've seen in the style of play and like the strategy around how Leinster play under Leo, but with 2 different senior coaches, to me would indicate they are not merely a senior coach. This is not Tyler Blayendal being the difference maker coming in, right, as attack coach. If that was the case, we would see a lot more out of Tyler Blayendal in that sense, right? Like he would have much more of a fingerprint on this team in that way. So it's and like the rumor, or certainly the speculation, is the reason Leo is in that position of he's the head coach, he's not director. Officially,
so Leinster can pick the coaches as they want.
Exactly. So people don't know, the IRFU sign off on the head coach of each province. They are involved in the hiring and all that of those, but they're not necessarily as fully involved, as evidenced by Munster recently. Involved in the hiring of the coaches below the head coach. So Leinster keep Leo in the head coach position, so that they can hire whoever the hell they want with whatever backers they want in terms of money to bring in a World Cup winning coach like Jack Nienaber to the team. But there is certainly, I think, an argument that creates ambiguity in roles, because it kind of has to have ambiguity in roles. You cannot have Leo be officially not the head coach and officially the head coach, because the IRFU would step in and be like, lads,
here, lads, what are we doing?
We know what you're doing. Stop it, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I think as long as Leinster can kind of find Stuart Lancaster, Jack Nemo are quality senior coaches, they will kind of have a hands-off process in that.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. I think a lot of this is kind of trying to create this Leinster versus the press mentality to kind of get them through the next 2 weeks. Like, not that it's Storm Team Cup, I do think there are small issues in Leinster that will need to be sorted over the next, over the summer, and to get them over the line in Europe and to kind of push on. And it's a World Cup year. These guys will want to play well, build form. There's a lot of things going to next season for it to all go well. Without possibly their record try scoring winger on the it's once again, this is a possibility. James Lowe hasn't, as we know, hasn't
been confirmed.
Is on the way out of Leinster possibly. I still think a 5 to midnight call be made on that. This is always when you're at the age of James Lowe and Bundy Aki, if you get offered 1 year contracts, they don't become 1+1s anymore. No. They're 1 years, and you will get extended in March the year after if you've played well the previous year,
and your injury profile hasn't gotten worse.
Exactly. And he's just had a bad injury. He's come back, he scored a few tries, looked fairly fresh. He's more likely to play in the next few weeks, and in my opinion, he'll more than likely get another contract. But he'll get a Bundy contract to the end of the World Cup.
That's my assumption, right? And I think in fairness, that's probably what Leinster are betting on, right? Is that the lure of another World Cup will bring James to the table, will bring Lowe into the table a little bit more.
What I would gather is he's not going to get a massive pay cut, but he's looking for the year after the World Cup as well.
Yes,
and this is where the whole the thing comes in. He wants to. The IRFU rarely give 2 years a second you hit 32. Rarely.
I mean, Sexton's the only exception I can think of in recent memory.
Yeah, I think Gibson Park is on a rolling 1+1.
I think
he's on a 2 year, but they can cut it if they want to. It's the whole thing. And I think if it was a one with a +1 option where both sides can kind of have a conversation of going, if we're not talking this time next year, it means you're getting the other year. If we are talking, it means we got to do something. I think that there'll be a common ground. There'll be a common sense solution to that in that way.
I think so. And I don't doubt Andy Farrell's involvement here as well. Of he relies very heavily on James Lowe and his boot in particular. He has come to rely on him very heavily. He's one of Andy Farrell's guys in some respects, right? And coming into a World Cup, I wouldn't be surprised if it's down to that fine margin that he's not lads, just say what needs to be said. Maybe don't write it down, but say what needs to be said, and let's get a deal over the line here. Because I will most likely need this guy come the World Cup.
Yeah, and you have the whole thing of the provinces taking on 40% of central contracts.
Yeah,
budgets getting tightened, and we've talked about that a few times. And Leinster are now coming to a financial place where all the other provinces are at, or closer to it anyway.
Yeah.
And I just hope we see that money that's being put into the development of the development pathways of Connacht, Ulster, and Munster show some benefit in the next 3 years, because otherwise you're talking about another 3 years before we
I think that's
sorted again.
I think that's what people need to think about sometimes with these changes, right? There's been a lot of talk about the bias towards Leinster and the IRFU, right? That's there, particularly in terms of the finances, and some of that is incidental of the system that's in place, right? Is what I will say, which is the central contracting system. And then Leinster being the bulk supplier of players, therefore getting the most benefit out of that central contracting system that was there, and that disproportionately funding Leinster. Basically, I personally don't think when they set that up, that was the intention. I think the intention was we want to control the top 10 players, top 13 players. 8 of them are coming from Leinster. Okay, now this is a lopsided system, and it will only continue in a lopsided manner if we keep this. So we got to redress it. But the benefit of redressing it should be that the other provinces produce, like you're now not having one single bunk supplier, and it's a much more even distribution of supply, and the burden, which I would say arguably this year and next year will probably hit Leinster. Like till the end of this World Cup cycle,
but you'd hope after the World Cup we'll see kind of balancing out of all that.
Yeah,
and it just bases off the fact that if Andy Farrell keeps kind of picking, well, these guys all know each other. It doesn't matter what province they're from. One province is going to get hit disproportionately. It's kind of, as I always kind of go, it's the Brian O'Driscoll, Gordon Darcy thing. Gordon Darcy wasn't the best 12 in Ireland that, like, I'd say throughout his whole career, but he was the best partner for Brian O'Driscoll. And it's at Donald O'Callaghan, Paul O'Connell. There's Leo Cullen's career going to England and everything is because Donald O'Callaghan had a better partnership with Paul O'Connell than say
Stringer and O'Gara. Like you know, like we can name lots of partnerships, I think, in that sense. Like,
and this is always going to be the way. So it really is up to the guys in the other provinces, like the guy Cian Prendergast, like Timoney, like Gleeson when he breaks through, Casey, of being better than the other guy, just like out and out better,
unquestionably better. Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's going to happen. So I think James Lowe, we think James Lowe will eventually sign a contract, and Sean Edwards will take Jack Nienaber's spot next year. That's kind of where we're going with
Confirmed.
that. Yeah? Perfect.
That him or Scott Robinson, one or the other.
Perfect. That is a shout, not very.
Scott Robertson will take over from Tyler and Sean from Jack, and that'll be the ticket.
And then Munster will literally go on fire,
and Leinster will take its final form. You know,
they need to do that. But anyway, let's talk about the URC quarterfinals. There were 3 Irish provinces, 2 wins, and on Friday night, two losses even. Sorry, 1 win. On Friday night, we kicked off the game that everyone thought would be the only away win of the thing. Everyone's like, Glasgow are going to win, but Connacht could do it, you know.
They could do it, yeah.
And after 5 minutes, it was like, I started to even believe. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, we're ahead. Got a nice early try. This is looking good. We're playing fast rugby. This is not sustainable, obviously. But that first 40 minutes was just ridiculous. I was out of breath watching it. It was helter skelter.
It was all over the place. Like it was a great half of rugby. Like again, of like great, just both teams basically to a certain degree abandoning defense and just going on the attack.
But both defenses were really good. That was kind of it. It was like the team with the ball were like, we're going to go hell feather and test your defense, and then the team without the ball was like, grand, we're going to smash you as much as possible. It was a brilliant 7-7. Like at the end of the first half.
Yeah. The scoreline did not reflect the excitement of the half.
Yes, and after that, so like the Connacht of the season kind of crept in of the penalty count.
Yeah,
that 4 penalties in a row was just
a killer. Again, against a team like Glasgow, they will punish. Like you cannot give away, and it like in bad territory as well. Like it just handed them so much momentum into the game. Like
it's access. I think that's the problem with Connacht this year. It's how easy teams have had access into 22.
Yeah,
it's their defense is good, and their whole thing is if we can stop you in 3 phases, we'll realign and we will stay in our line for the next 20. So good luck. And you saw that even in this match. You know, when they shut Glasgow down after their strike play. 4, you know, because most strike plays now are 4 phases.
Yeah.
Once they kind of go, granted, we stopped you now. That was it. And suddenly Glasgow like, all right, now I have to kick or force a penalty or try and, you know, do something different. But those 4 penalties effectively back to back, kind of, and there's Glasgow go in, and there's a yellow card, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
And the maul then looked like it was going to start becoming a real factor.
Mm-hmm.
Got lucky with the TMO kind of scratching off a try. It was for truck and trailer obstruction, you know. So it was really weird. And then Connacht controlled the next 9 minutes after that, you know.
Yeah, fully like really managed that whole bar that first minute, as you say, but like managed the 10 minutes extremely well. Like overall, from a and particularly like being down 1 in the pack as well and stuff like that. Like
you know. And I think this is what will annoy the Connacht management the most is the amount of times they were on the Glasgow 5-meter line and turned the ball over or got held up or and
But
It's
it's a bit
just,
of it's a bit of a symptom in the last couple of weeks, right? I think that we've
yeah.
seen where what's creeped back into Connacht's game is that inability to finish, like just not going that last 5 meters, like
And
making all
it's
the progress, getting to the line, and then either knocking it on or discipline, or just not making the smart choice out of it, like and stuff like that to get over the line and convert more from those opportunities into 22.
whereas if you look at Glasgow when they got within 10 meters, you're kind of going, they were clinical. They
Yeah,
in that second half, especially they were just clinical.
yeah,
Um, really, really good. Like I'm not going to go through like every moment of this game because I had a few like general vibes from the game. Like for me, Connacht still don't kick tactically well enough.
yeah. I think that's if ultimately I think that's down to Josh Ione at 10, right?
Yeah,
Like in my view, is like you don't have that tactician in that position
even though
calling for those kicks, even though he doesn't do the kicking, like in
but
those
even though
situations.
on Friday, he was the one who came up with the gorgeous 50-22. He was
Yeah,
the one who was like actually controlling Connacht very well. It's
yeah,
just when Glasgow kicked 21 times to Connacht's 14, that's 7 extra kicks. It doesn't matter if it's from 9 or 10. They're Glasgow know not to play in their own half.
yeah,
That just shows that from the
yeah,
match. And that's kind of what annoys me. It's the break Ione makes down the wing where possibly we should have scored from in that first half. There's no way you
yeah.
make a line break like that and don't come away with something,
At least three, like
at
get them to
least
cough up a penalty or something like that. Yeah,
something,
yeah,
you know, if we do that attack on the halfway line, that's a try. But we did that near to our own 22. And
yeah,
this is what bugs me. It's all our great attacks are starting far too deep.
yeah,
And maybe they're reliant on the opposition having to have more people back to stop a 50-22 kick or whatever. But it just really annoys me that we're just that bit too much in our own half.
yeah.
And
It's a
we're
solvable problem, though. I think right is the big
completely,
thing there, which is good, and like it is something that I think that the management will be aware of. Like that is a thing they will spot and see of like they're playing in the wrong places. And I think with some of the shifts, and we'll get into like next season review and end of season review in a couple of weeks, but some of the players coming in like that are a little bit more like the likes of Kieran Frawley, who's clearly coming in to play 10, who can kick from hand a bit better and who can
yeah.
like be a bit more strategic in that way and will bring in a different insight from playing in
Yeah,
Leinster and all that kind of
but
stuff.
weirdly, he is a go forward ball in hand 10 as well. Like it's
True.
like his
Yeah.
they're quite similar in some ways. And like in all
Mm-hmm.
fairness, I only had a great game. Like
He
I
did.
can't really
Yeah, yeah. It's not him.
complain.
It's not. No, and I don't mean it even in this game. I just mean it in a general concept
Yeah,
sense of like how Connacht have played over the last one.
it's that strategy versus tactics thing. I can't
Yeah.
remember which one is which. Like
Tactics is short term. Strategy is long term.
yeah. So the strategy for the team is doing this is the team strategy isn't to kick.
Yeah.
Like clear or they don't kick enough, and
Yeah.
I don't think the chase is good enough. Like one of Glasgow's tries came from just a really poor kick and
Mm.
zero sum chase. And it's all those type of things that really annoy me. It's 21 points if it came from Connacht the Vote, I'd call it. Like that kick,
Yeah.
the not protecting the breakdown. And literally, I think there was an inch in that ruck one being offside because if your man actually joined his shoulder on, he's part of the ruck, can't take it. But like literally, there was an inch in that before, and his foot was over the ball, so he was fine. And then Sean O'Brien knocking the ball on, line out, and because Glasgow had picked and driven so often, the Connacht defense was so tight and so compressed. They were just
Yeah.
they were leaving more and more of that pitch, the outside half of the pitch open with
Yeah.
every single line out. You can see them just kind of creeping in, and suddenly you have 4 people trying to tackle 2, and that's
Yeah.
where that hole comes in. And that's Glasgow's tactics in the game of like, if we use them all this way, it will create an opportunity out here eventually. It's that great short term thinking, spot in the space.
I think it's also like adaptability at halftime, right? Like that would be my takeaway as well. Is it was very much a very even arm wrestle. Like it to me, it felt like one of those like kind of cheesy anime or like kung fu fights where like it's like you're fighting your mirror image, right? Like they both punch with the same hand and punch each other's fist kind of situation. That's what that first half felt like, where everybody's throwing kind of not the same move, but essentially the same move. And in the second half, Glasgow adapted. They're like, okay, we can't keep doing the same thing because we're going to get caught in a fight we don't want to be in. So we got to make some adjustments like that, and like kind of how they kicked a little bit better in that, or like kicked a little bit differently. Let's say in that.
And they
second
had
half.
the win in the second half. I think that was
Yeah,
the other thing as well. So they just used those factors better.
exactly.
And it's kind of it's one of those things where you kind of go, well, Bundy had a great game. Like Bundy played really well. It was top car and all cars. Keane Prendergast had a great game.
Yeah.
I've mentioned Ione, like he had the most meters ran of everyone in the quarterfinals. Murphy played well. It's it's really everyone like players stood up and were counted. I think everyone needs to play a 9.5, 10 out of 10 game. We got a solid 8 across the board. You know what I mean? Like no one really, apart from the bench came on, didn't give, I think, enough energy. Tries aside, like Hef got a nice try, Finney scored a nice try, Devine's always there. Sean O'Brien, knock on aside, was having a really good 10 minutes up until that point, 15 minutes up until that point. But there's something that lacked of energy. I think Gavin going off injured doesn't help that either, because then you're bringing back Murphy onto the wing. And did you see the tackle? Like I actually rewound to watch it because they didn't show a replay. I'm like, why do you not show a replay? It really bugs me that falling on the limb in a ruck is now effectively a red card. But if you can't get someone to ground, you swing around the body and fall on their leg, that's fine. That's what happened there. It's the exact same thing, but which in all fairness, because he stood up and someone's pushing him, I think is even more dangerous. And he went down, and he's just back from injury, and that's another big injury, for him. It's just at those small things, they all creep in, and I just think for us to have beaten Glasgow, we needed Mac Hansen, we needed Col Ford, we needed Sean Jansen, and I like Paul Boyle. I like Paul Boyle. I just think Sean Jansen's form, that's an extra 5% in the pack,
Yeah, no, 100%. Because like Sean Johnson is the current like carries leader for the URC.
Yeah.
Right. So like and like by a decent number as well, like by like kind of 7 or 8 carries minimum, so it is those players that you need when you get into this stage. I think also like as well, it's hard to go away, right? Like in rugby, it's extremely hard to go away. It's hard to go away against the top seed. Definitely. I think like there's this concept in like in like say like Premier League soccer, or like relegation tables, right? When you get to the end of the season, you don't want to play a team that's in relegation. You want to play a team that's just gotten safe from relegation.
Oh yeah, you want to play like the 14th team, 13th.
Yeah, you want to play a team that has been in a fight for relegation but is now safe. With like 2 or 3 teams together, because they are exhausted, cannot get anything, and are like have like hit the goal that they need to get. And I'm not saying that that's Connacht in this situation, but Connacht were in a fight every week for the last 5 weeks to get into top 8.
Yeah,
and they got into top 8, and then you have to get the energy up again to now be like, okay, now we're in top 8. Now we have to drive on to win on the road, and go away and all that kind of stuff. It's just a lot extra energy when you've been pushing really hard.
And it was a real shot to nothing. Like I genuinely think Connacht had nothing to lose in that game. Whereas Glasgow had a lot to lose. I think they didn't look like a team that were playing tight. Does that make sense? They didn't look like a team that had a lot to lose. They were prepped well mentally. Could really see it in them. But there was that 10 minutes where Connacht looked a bit comfortable. That yellow card. And this is why I hate ref talk. Me here talking about a match, I won't mention the ref. Me watching the game, it's a different story because I'm in the moment. I'm feeling the feels, and I'm going through the vibes. But Connacht conceded 14 points while upper player. That's not ref. You know what I mean? That's we lost by exactly 2 tries.
Yeah.
Do the math, lads. That's why ref talk bugs me, because it doesn't see the controllables Connacht had, and those things where you kind of go, oh, Connacht didn't score for 50 minutes. That's not really the ref's problem, lads. And it's why, and that's why ref talk bugs me. It says that your team couldn't have won on their own, and I believe Connacht could have won that match if they tightened up 5%, and that's it. Like just one ruck, one ball doesn't get knocked on. One ruck's defended a bit better. That's if the ruck isn't defended better. The kickoff isn't kicked for the knock on to happen. You know, and that's the 14 points that just puts the game out of reach. And that was the game. And Connacht fought to the final whistle. They went hell for it. They got held up with 5 minutes to go. They nearly made a comeback. This was a team that knew how to get to that line and try and nearly score, just weren't clinical enough in the 22. And that's not a ref thing. That's a Connacht thing. And that's something that they can fix. It's not like they played badly. It's just the extra 5%. That's all it was.
And I think that's where I it's where Connacht have to be very happy in some respect. Like, it's never happy to lose a knockout game of rugby, right? But in terms of like what the future holds and what this season did for, like, has shown Connacht to be, where Connacht are leaving this season versus where they started this season, and even where they were like in round 8, round 10,
Christmas time,
Christmas time, right? Like, they were sitting on 2 wins in round 8, right, or around 10.
It was stupid stuff.
10 wins, but 8 wins on the bounce, like in across the tournament, including huge away wins in South Africa and stuff like that. Like, such huge momentum into the end of the season and into now a preseason, like, and kind of like reset of, we made incredible progress. We are in the Champions Cup next year. We and now gave Glasgow a game. Like anybody, people will look across the scorelines in it. This was the only game this weekend. Every other game, the result was predetermined and like obvious very quickly into that game. This was the only one at halftime. You're like there's a fight here, and if this could go Connacht's way,
and it's what people expected from, and it's the game that everyone expected to be the closest, and it was. It showed the best of everyone. Like, some of the defensive plays by Glasgow, like sniping off the back of a scrum, reading the play, making good tackles of what was clearly a line break. Ben Murphy doing really good. Like Shane Bolton getting the ball and barreling through people, making big tackles, having big moments. Both teams, I think, were close to or near the top of what they're capable of, and they pushed each other. Connacht 6 months ago lose that game by 50. Genuinely, they lose that game by 50 if that's at the beginning of the season. This is a different Connacht team. They're out, but they're not down. They've lost this round. They get to kind of tend to their wounds, get themselves back fit, look forward to the next season and go, all right, we have a goal. And Champions Cup rugby will help in terms of like ticket sales and money and finances. And that's all stuff off the pitch, but it creates a buzz of like, no, we're a top team as well within the playing group. And it just means so much more to players playing in Champions Cup rugby, especially in Ireland. And having that there for this group, especially quite a young group, is brilliant.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it dovetails Europe and the URC next year. And what they do. And we'll talk about where we talk about the senior review and preview. We kind of might do all that in one. But this season has ended with Connacht winning great games, putting in a decent performance with flaws away to Glasgow, and losing for 10 minutes where Connacht of the last 3 years of going, not be able to gain a restart, being a bit lazy around the ruck, and there's 14 points. There's the game. Simple as.
And I think like it is a much better place, and I say this with experience from Leinster. It is a much better place to leave a season or to leave a game being like, we tweak a thing here, we would have won that game. Like, just this change or that change, like, just do that a little bit better. Just do like I said, don't switch off for this period of time, whatever. Like, those small, like, okay, the fixable things. It leaves a kind of like, it's something stuck in your craw. It's something annoying at you, but it's not defeat in the same way. It's not better team won, which the better team did win on the day, in essence Glasgow played the better rugby on the day ultimately, but it's the kind of like, but not like as you say, a 50-point win. Like, not like, you know, and we'll get to it, like Leinster v Lions or something like that, where you're like, didn't even fire a shot. It's like, no. A small tweak here, we win this game. Or like, this is a 2-point game, 1-point game. Like, you know, it's completely in the balance in that sense. And that is a good place to leave a season when you have already, to a certain degree, achieved what was the goal, which was back in the top 8, Championship Cup rugby, and firing a shot in the playoffs, but just coming up a little bit short.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's just the whole thing of, if Connacht want to compete, they need all their top line players fit and healthy. And, you know, it has another layer, and you've got to kind of look at, this is more than like the last season of Bundy. Once again, the second last season of Bundy, and he is rolling back the years. You know, we could do a Maunano and turn him into a back row and or something, have him till he's 40. He might be happy to pick up rugby till he's 40. You know, who knows?
Put it past him. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him.
But, you know, these things are there. And I'm very happy. I was disappointed that they lost, but I wasn't that kind of, oh my God, where do we go from here? And that's the big feeling of, because that could have happened. That happened to 3 other teams in this weekend. Actually, Cardiff a bit less. I think they put up some form of fight, but yeah, I was disappointed. Like I said, Connachts are out, but they're not down. You know, like I think they can definitely hold their head up going home, going, no, we put in a game. We were 10% off winning that game, and not changing drastically tactics or anything, just being 10% better. We could have done that. And this time next year, if we're in the same boat, we have the scars. We know now what mentality we need to have. We know we've learned what focus we need to carry. The Challenge Cup knockouts actually will help with that as well. You know, there's a whole series of things that will just help build into next year. And knowing our luck, would be pulled out against Montpellier or something in the Champions Cup. Like, why do we have to do this again?
Be like Toulouse and Montpellier. You're like, oh, yay.
In all fairness, as long as we get Toulouse in Galway, we'll sell tickets.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Get to Pont in Galway. Like get them out on a few points in Galway. You'll have a great time. But moving on, I think maybe right. We will get into the future in a future pod about what is in store for next season and a little bit of a look back on the season. But with that in mind, moving on to our Irish of the week. And again, for those listening, any new listeners that are listening, every week I don't speak Irish, but Porrick does. So we like to try and bring a little bit of Irish into the podcast, particularly with the Galway connection, or with the Connacht connection, sorry, and the TG Cahir showing the games and stuff like that. So I pick a word in English and Porrick gives it to me. Usually it's related to the matches in some way. And this week my word is future, given we are talking a little bit about the bright future for Connacht.
And that's it. Like, Connacht do have a bright future. Tá tauchi Connacht Bano Gamat. Like, Connacht's future is looking good. Tá panel Ogakup, tá Imari Mahakup, agus tá coachally tá Akup tá tauchi by tauchi Mahakup. They have a young squad. They have a good improving squad, a good coaching ticket, and their future is looking good. And I dare Shasher Crua Tatugera a bheith ná breanú chun tosaí agus rá nó tá rudaí má chun tarlú agus beá sa tauchaí a rá béimid in an Rudigins units sa Cape Nella. And after a hard long season, you want to be able to look forward and kind of go, things are looking up, and look to the future, go, yeah, we can make something happen next year. And I think Connacht are in that spot. So future, like, there's a few ways of saying it. So you can say future sa tauchaí or a machan show, or but they're, you know, they're the two main ones. In this context, tauchi is what we're using. That's TODHCHAI fada. That is future. And the future is looking bright and it's looking green at the moment, in my opinion. And that is future. And that's our Irish bit for the week. And we will go to Saturday morning. And Munster away to Bulls lose 45-14. It was a weird game in the fact that Bulls looked like they were going to win by a lot. Yeah. And then Munster had 10 minutes of where they were like, okay, this could be something. And then the last 5 minutes of the first half happened. And that was, it felt like game was over then, because Munster had worked so hard to get into that position to then just get blown away effectively. The last 20 minutes, Bulls, I think, stopped trying. Like they went pure Fiji. They went like, how many offloads can we do in this period of time? Because they were so loose the second they went up.
I think once they kind of knew they had it won right at that stage, and I think it's let's not overexert ourselves in terms of like risking injuries and like they at that point knew they would need to be traveling in a week, you know. So it's kind of like let's conserve, but let's have fun, right? There's a crowd, like there's a crowd here, we need to entertain them. There's, you know, TV cameras, that sort of thing. So as you say, they kind of go pure Fiji and just throw the ball around and just kind of get incredibly loose with it in that sense. But can't fault them too much. They're not a team that play particularly loose, so like trying to get loose was, you know, it's sort of like watching your dad, you know, dance at a wedding, only 1 point in.
It's kind of like the Bulls and Stormers, Lions and Sharks kind of attacking a bit like South Africa. Like when they have those opportunities to go loose, just kind of be a bit more attack minded, trying to get in tune for what's happening at international level. Whereas Munster are very Irish in how they play, in that it takes a long time to score. I think Connacht have the same problem. You know, like it just takes far too long to score. The second try for Munster was 24 phases at altitude. You know, that's your energy done for the night. You know, and it's not to say that wasn't a good try. It was a very well worked try. They played side to side, did all the right things. But if you're going for 24 phases, that's a lot of energy to expend for 7 points. Whereas the Bulls were kind of going, okay, 3 phases, and we've got to try. And in the first, if it wasn't for a few forward passes, they would have been easily 20, 21, 28 points ahead after 25 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think Munster played, I say, badly. They just weren't in the, like, they weren't in the game. You know, this was a Munster performance that was very symptomatic of the season. You know, I didn't expect any less or more from them, you know, because especially without Byrne or Crowley, my fears about Casey came true. I don't think he wasn't able to back up that one man army performance he had last week, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's is impossible to have. Like
you're asking a lot of any player, I think, to do that, to do what he did 2 weeks in a row in that sense.
But Munster need him to do that when the other two lads are around. Bankerville stood up, but it goes back to my Farrell problem that I had at the top of the year. Munster's attack is, let's get it to the person in a bit of space and hopefully they do something. Whereas on Saturday morning, they actually played to width fast.
Mm-hmm.
They made breaks down the wings.
Yeah.
But Munster aren't set up to it. It's almost like everyone's like, cool, this is the plan. Like it more likely won't work. So no one flood through. You know, that's kind of happened. Like,
but that's a confidence thing, right? Like it's a belief in the system. It's a belief in like very juxtaposed, I think, with Connacht, right? Like Connacht believe in the way they're playing and are playing for each other in that sense, and really driving. And Munster aren't most of the time because they're not getting success with it, right? Not like for no other reason than every other rugby team in the world, where like if you're not winning, you don't really trust that the system works, plain and simple. And Munster have been struggling for this season, so it's completely understandable that their instinct is not to like that flood the space and stuff like that, because it might not work. But that's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It really is weird. They're like, and I don't think it helps with Prendergast leaving in the season. There's so many question marks over everything, and it's all the stuff just feeds into these bits.
But that's every season with Munster at this stage.
It is,
unfortunately. They're very much becoming a very unlucky team where you can kind of play off some of the problems on the pitch with the stuff that's happening behind the scenes, which would obviously has a big impact.
I do kind of wonder, given the injury list going into this game, is there someone in Cork spiteful that the main stadium isn't in Cork and has like voodoo dolls and stuff.
Just like scraping across Achilles heels and ACLs and backs and knees and all that kind of stuff.
Or just kind of like at a physio's brain. So it's like, I don't know what to do with this.
But it has to be something to do with either the facilities they train in, i.e. like a 4G pitch that's like badly built, and 4G pitches anyway cause more injuries, as we know.
They train on grass in UL. Like UL is, and they have UL's facilities in Limerick. So it's something in the it's got to be something in the SNC and all that kind of. It would be my view, right? Like it has to be. No one could be this unlucky.
Like, that's what I mean. It's too, and it's like repeated seasons, right? Like this isn't a one season issue. Like this is season after season now, where they get towards the business end of the season, or they get post Christmas, and they have a full team's worth of players on the injury list. Like what last year, I think, didn't they have 23 players on the injury list at one stage?
Yeah, it was just mental.
Like a crazy number of injuries. That isn't accidental. That isn't just like a couple of lads picked up a knock in a game. That is, something is wrong in how you are conditioning the players, like how the players are prepping and like conditioning their bodies and training, right? Like there's something wrong in there that's causing extra fatigue or weakness or stress on joints. Like, I'm not an expert in this space, but I just can't believe that it's coincidental that they're the only province in Ireland that are having that level of injury problems on a season by season basis.
And it reminds me of when Pat Lam was coaching Connacht. I'll go back a fair bit now. And there was a year where Connacht had literally 25 players, including you had to
I remember this. You had like, because you had to come play Leinster, and it was like there was like players coming up from like Division 2 in the AIL, like
and we went away to Newcastle and Challenge Cup with 22 players. We literally didn't play a full team, like bring a full squad. And what happened that year, Pat Lam said, when you have 10 injuries, you're going to get 10 more because people are training more in a different way. You're not getting those rest breaks. You're playing more matches. You're playing more minutes. You're not getting that rotation, and injuries beget injuries. So the second you hit 10, you look for the next 5 happening very quickly.
11, 12, 13 will come sooner rather than later.
And then players get rushed back, say a week early. They get a knocked up. It's a vicious cycle.
Problem.
It compounds an error. But that doesn't, for me, that doesn't kind of forgive some of how Bulls got into this game. For the scrums being an issue all season. Like I think that's just the fact, so there's gonna be new props next year, so that hopefully that should change some things for Munster. What would frustrate me is the coach killingness of what was happening. So Munsters get their first try, they go 7-14 behind. They're like, Grant, we've got to try, we're back in the game. 2 breakdowns later, penalty, Bulls take 3. Bulls work their way up to that 24 face try, like I said before, get their 7, 3 points behind. Next thing that happens, concede a penalty, kick to the corner, Bulls score. So there, that to me is a team that's not training well because of injuries. There's a lack of focus at kickoff because maybe they don't expect to score. They don't expect to be receiving the ball, type of thing. And these things all feed into, it does feel like poorly coached, like poor planning, especially the second one, because who got the ball? I wrote it down.
Nankivell?
I think it's Nankivell. It was Nankivell. The Wolves found Nankivell with the kick, tackled him. And what ended up happening is, because Munster was so spread out, there was no one there to support him on you'll see it every time. Someone gets the ball, literally takes 2 steps, take contact, and there's 4 players ready to just protect the breakdown. There was no one. Munster were running into that breakdown after 3 Bulls players. Like, you shouldn't be second best to that first breakdown from a kickoff. I don't care how fast the chase was, it shouldn't happen. So that's like, will each believe a bit of poor coaching there, in my opinion. Like, whoever's job that is, I'm not even going at the head coaches like Millen.
Yeah.
Like, that's not McMillan's problem. That's that's section coaches. That's
down the chain and stuff.
That's down the chain. But it also meant that every time Munster scores, Bulls are just scoring back. They weren't getting themselves into the game, and Bulls were taking 3 to put themselves 10 points up, to put themselves
Cup rugby
17 points up. They always made sure they were 2 scores ahead as much as possible. Really smart stuff. Really, really, really intelligent stuff. And then
like it's hard to say that the problems of Munster are not coaching related ultimately, right? Like there's talented players there. There's players that when they're at Ireland camp play better, you know, and like we see that is like it's part of some of the arguments against Leinster as well at the moment is that some of these players are playing better in the Ireland system than they are in the Leinster system. I think that's true the same of Munster as well, right? So that has to be coaching. That there's no two ways about it. And again, not specifically Macmillan, just coaching overall. Or maybe I'll even widen it out. It's got to be organizational, right? It's got to be like the whole setup of the organization and how it's how it's running day to day, which we know has have problems this year in particular, and obviously there's redundancies and stuff like that.
But it
all
feels
bleeds into the field.
Like, it feels lacks a clarity of whose job is what on the pitch. That means you're not doing reps in those moments. Even that try before halftime, it just looked like system error. You know, it just felt like no one really knew what they were meant to be doing. And at that point, you can be overpowered. That's fine. You can like Munster aren't going to beat Bulls for power. No. Neither are Connacht or Ulster or like and even Leinster if Bulls are up for it enough. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
And I would say at altitude, 60 minutes into a game. No.
Yeah, definitely. And all these things like they're compounding.
Yeah.
But there are times where you just felt it doesn't look drilled well enough. It doesn't look like people know what they're meant to be doing in certain situations. And I would hope for Munster's sake too that they get their coaching set up right over the summer, that Macmillan gets people he can trust, because maybe he doesn't feel he can trust the guys he has around him to do the jobs he wants to, you know, to do all maybe. And so he's kind of got his fingers in too many pies and everything's a bit like, well, I'm saying this and you're saying that and coaches aren't agreeing, you know, there's no alignment in what people are doing. It's all that type of stuff. And I think, you know, that's where Munster looks like they've failed this week. We've seen it a few weeks now. They're a team that need a summer off. You know, they need the coaching ticket to be ready to go first week of preseason in 5 to 6 weeks time and go again, you know?
Definitely. Like this is I would agree with you completely there as well. There's some of these guys, including the coaches, need a couple of weeks to not think about rugby, right? And just like can clear their heads and just, you know, have a bit of a holiday and then come back refreshed and tackle the problems that they have. Like some of those problems being get a coaching ticket properly in place and all that kind of stuff and be ready to go and all that kind of thing, the basics. But I think like to contrast it with Connacht, right? The problems that Munster are facing are bigger. You know, like we talked when we talked about the Connacht game of like a tweak here, a tweak there, a little bit of change, 10% better, you can be in these fights. Munster have different problems, and we'll get into this, I think, when we get into the end of season review. But I think it's hard for them to, I think, not be disappointed from where their season started. They started so strong at the start of the season. To be where they have ended up, I think has to be a disappointment for them. And obviously, Munster fans and all that have the right expectation that Munster should be in the top tier, challenging for titles annually, and they 100% should be, and that should be their goal. But this feels like an ongoing problem that is not a one-season fix. They need to get a steady coaching ticket in place that will be in place for 2 to 3 years, no disruption to it. You know, a steady core of players who are injury-free that they can rely on, that are not Tyburn and Jack Crowley that are going to disappear for Ireland camps and stuff like that, they can rely on week to week to drive that team forward and are bought into a game system that they can all get behind. And that, to me, I don't think will get solved next season. We'll see what the coaching ticket is, but they're big problems. And I think what we could see is what we saw with Connacht this year, which is a bad start to the season but hopefully a good end to the season where they're like, now it feels, you know what I mean? That's what I mean when I say I think it'll take more than a season. I think like you get new coaches in, some of these players will take time. That season may not start well, but then we might start to see the fruits of it in kind of Christmas time or post.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Post-November internationals, that should be the kind of spot where Munster really take off next year. And it just feels like I don't want to talk about the full season for them because I do feel like it's a bit of a dead cat bounce, like type of season for them. They weren't really in the game. They were overpowered. The scrum was an issue. The maul was an issue. They made mistakes. They start chasing the game, made more mistakes, handling errors. They compounded errors something fierce, and that's what happens when you're overpowered, when you're at altitude, poorly prepped / coached, and that for me
missing some of your key players.
Yeah. I think Crowley might have been a help just to get them playing in the right areas. Munster didn't have like a 10 on the bench, because the one person who's actually looked pretty decent this year is obviously prepping for the under 20 World Championships, and why would you bring him to South Africa for a knockout match when he's got a World Championship to
be going and playing for? Exactly.
So there's all this type of stuff going on as well. But for me, they looked like they were going to lose this game badly after 20 minutes. And I think in the final 20 minutes, if the Bulls didn't pull the piss, they would have lost by a lot more.
It could have been much worse. It could have looked much worse on the scoreboard for them and stuff like that. So they got a little bit of a kindness there, I think, of there will not be more mounting pressure from the fans or from the media as a result when people look at that scoreline.
Exactly. Before we move on to the final game of the weekend, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Follow us on social media everywhere. That is at the second row. That's 2ND, not the word seconds. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, all that type of stuff. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and whatever podcast platform you are listening on. Leave comments, send messages, get involved. I've been enjoying reading the comments on YouTube. People are a lot more quick to type in a comment on YouTube, being very, very good, all to varying degrees, but you keep leaving comments and keep getting involved. I do enjoy them. I do like hearing what people think. And like we've said, we've hinted massively, we are going to do podcasts looking back on every province's season, proper look back across the year. Remember, we missed out a few months, so we'll actually have to research and remember what happened.
We'll have to look back over stuff,
and see what was happening in those games, look back at how things felt. So give us kind of pointers. Say what would you like us to talk about in those things? Where are we right or wrong to go through them? Whatever you want. Give us your feedback and give us some direction, because sometimes it is easier when someone says, talk about this, like, okay, sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So your game of the weekend, as I call it now. Leinster 59, Lions 10. We're just as a scoreline a couple of weeks ago, that was Leinster 31, Lions 7.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. This game made me pay. I paid so little attention to this game after 10 minutes. It felt so. It felt unnecessary. It felt so unnecessary. They were literally the first 2 minutes. I went, oh, Lions have got this prepped. They're kicking to the corner. They're going to play.
What they're doing. They're going to play smart.
And then you're like, oh yes, Lions away from home. They can't. They don't do that. They don't travel well at all. Doesn't happen. No.
Like glorified training match. Probably have learned more in training matches than they have in this game. I don't think we'll talk about this game for very long because there is very little to say about it other than hopefully this is the palate cleanser Leicester needed after the European Cup final to a certain degree.
Apparently it's a trend that in the last 5 years, every time Leinster have been knocked out of Europe or lost a final, they've won the next game by 30, 40 points. Like it's a thing. It's just...
Which makes sense, right? Because it's just like you're angry and you can't hit the people that have just beat you up, so you hit the next person.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened here. So like we talked about it last week and I said, I feel Leinster were going to come out angry and basically just put up a score to put up a score. There's very little to take and learn from this game, right? Joe McCarthy looked very good, very worthy of his man of the match, but like, what was he playing against, right? Sam Prendergast looked amazing. what was he playing against? He had so much time on the ball. He could have like sung on the lullaby. Like there was like, you know what I mean?
And
He looked great, but he had
the
acres of time on the ball.
one thing I did like, I liked for Sam's sake, like that was the fact that he was able to show like these are the attributes he has that make him very good. You know,
this is why people are interested in him.
Yeah,
being a 10 for Leinster,
and he got to show off those attributes again, which is great.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
I think what we've learned is against better teams, he needs to stand a lot deeper.
Yes,
you know, and I think that's really it, because he plays very flat to line, but the defenses are quicker, so just stand a bit deeper.
Yeah, he just gets less time.
Yeah, create more time for yourself somehow. It's fine. And I was there kind of going, and we mentioned Lowe getting this is passing the try scoring record on the weekend. I wonder, was there a point where everyone's like, just get the ball to Lowe, he'll score? Because the amount of times Sam just went, he's out there on his own and just swings a forward pass over 4 people's heads. So like,
I do think it would have been funnier if they just never passed it to him.
Yes.
Just like Jimmy O'Brien, when he ran in the try, he 100% could have passed the ball to Lowe and run in the try. And he's like, no, my try.
Was there a point where you're kind of going, Jimmy, you know, that Monty Burns meme, kill Jimmy O'Brien after he could have given the pass to make sure he scored, you know.
But fair play to Lowe, right? Like I think 71 tries is no joke
in 100 games. Like, you know,
it's pretty good. 0.7 tries a game is a pretty good like record to have for any club. On his 100th cap as well, right? To get, like, you know, it's a great way to get the record as well from that point of view.
And you can see that he's a loved player, like that. The way the way the rest of the team celebrated with him, you know, and the calls for one more year from the fans after that coming out from Murray Kinston earlier on in the day was like, oh, we remember all this type of crack. I think there's two like general things from this game. That the first one is, I bet Leinster can't wait to be in the RDS. That's like,
well, speaking as a Leinster fan, I cannot wait to be in the RDS. I've said it to so many people in the last few weeks. I cannot wait to be back in the RDS. I do not know how the South African teams do this all year round, every year.
Yeah,
it is painful to be in a 3/4 empty, sometimes more empty stadium for a game. Like that game in the RDS has such a better atmosphere.
I wonder, was there a point during the week beforehand kind of going, should we move this to Donnybrook? Yeah.
See, they can't because the season ticket holders, they can't, right? There's somewhere in the region of 9,000 season ticket holders. So they have to, on the off chance we all show up. And I had it out, did not show up this weekend. Now, this is a general sale. It's not including your season ticket, but you know what I mean? Yeah, on a regular week, you're like, no, it has to have at least 9,000 seats in it.
Donnybrook's just there. It's fine.
Yeah, it'd be fine. Totally fine. No, I would imagine that, like, I think it'll be really interesting, and we'll get into it in the season round. But like, it will be interesting for the players as well. I think they will be looking forward to getting back into the RDS and making the Aviva a little bit more of a special occasion again and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know,
because like Croke Park was a special occasion. I think that ran its course very quickly. Like it was a one and done. Like,
well, it's on the north side. Most of the fans like don't know where that is. So
yeah, it's easier to get to from Cork than Donnybrook. You know.
Yeah.
But the other kind of general thing is, I find it hard to put it this way. There's great teams, there's very good teams, there's good teams, and there's medium teams. So I would call Leinster a very good team. This version of Leinster, anyway.
Yeah. The current version, definitely.
The current version are, but the thing is, but they tend to beat other very good teams. The teams that beat them in the last 4 years have been, on their day, a great team.
Yes.
And that's what it's going to take to beat Leinster. You've got to be great on the day against them, because they have a standard that actually isn't, even at their best two performances this year, the being teams who are like playing poorly, like Ospreys and this Lions team, and even the Lions actually a couple of weeks ago. I think the Lions were a bit more in it, but Leinster were fairly comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think this is Leinster's problem. They're like, we're a very good team. Goes, yeah, but you don't find you're great on the day. And
that's what they've been trying to do, right? Like, Leinster can be great on a given day, but they've been trying to get that given day to line up with a final.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do, right? That's a needle in a haystack. That's like shooting through the eye, like through a bullseye. It's just hard to do.
And like this year has been deeply inconsistent in terms of
Yes,
form, in terms of everything. I think this game proved that again. If you're even a hint off the pace, or if you're a bit soft in defense, like Lions were, if you're a bit clueless in what your own game plan was, which Lions were, they didn't leave Dublin. They were here training for 3 weeks. I just like they stayed here.
yeah.
Did they just live in a restaurant or a pub or something? Did they go on a tour? Because it felt so disorganized when you have that much
strange.
Sorry, like
but again, a team that had lots of momentum. They had 6-game winning streak at home. Like all that, like every argument for them to put up a fight and put up a performance, and they just weren't present.
No, and there's the element of Leinster being flat track bullies in this as well. That
they didn't let them into a game and blah blah blah.
And if you're not on it, that this Leinster team just has the ability to just roll over you, and that's what they did here. They just rolled through this.
And Leinster had a point to prove, right? Like they were hurting, and they'd also like played very recently, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like they had played in a tough game that they were really hurting from and wanted to go out and bully somebody, and did.
So yeah, it was one of those days where it's like it got very disinteresting to watch very quickly.
Like there's some beautiful tries scored, right? Like, I think the only other thing of comment or note in the game, not to get into ref talk, was how it was only a yellow card for Clarkson for what is a move banned in WWE, never mind rugby, because of how dangerous it is.
How does someone get away with a pile driver?
How do you do not even a pile driver, a package pile driver, the more dangerous version of a pile driver?
It's because you didn't land him exactly on his head, you just landed him slightly on his back first. Everything about his actions was illegal. What?
It's such a bizarre tackle. Like he literally grabs under his leg. Like I don't know what he was trying to do. Clearly a full brain fart moment.
It felt like a styles clash that got turned into a package pile driver because he didn't get the grip right. It was so bad. It was like in real time, I was kind of going,
no. If he had slipped,
if
Clarkson had slipped and fallen backwards, he could have broken his neck.
Yeah. What annoyed me is the ref in real time. I heard on the mic was like, it felt okay for me on the live. Was like, oh my good God, TMO, please. And there's a lot of that of like, there's clearly been a thing set the refs of ref the game in front of you. If you're not seeing it being illegal, just call into your TMO. I understand that, but the legs are up in the air. Surely that's advantage.
It's a tip tackle at minimum.
You're not giving advantage for that, no? Okay. Okay. That felt weird. But yeah, the fact that wasn't upgraded 20-minute red is mental.
I mean, we haven't heard that he's been cited, but he's got to be, right?
Surely. Sure. But then again, if you don't get that red, which is the point of the bunker,
the
deciding commissioner can still come in, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I just don't know. I can't believe that it wasn't 20 minutes. It was just the most ridiculous thing. It was the most ridiculous thing that happened in the game, and that's the game where Sheehan jumped for ball that was the same height as his head when he jumped. It was weird. I can't believe he got away with it with just 10 minutes in the bin. But what do you do? They can only play all the games in front of them, and it wasn't. It could have been a full red. I don't think Lions were going to have a sniff in this game.
It wasn't going to change the result of the game.
No,
even 34 minutes in, it wasn't going to change the result of the game. From what I'm from Googling, it's hard to tell exactly, but it doesn't appear that he has been cited, which is as well. But I haven't seen anything major reported on it yet.
But the ERC tends to just come out with the citing hearings tomorrow. They don't tell you that it's
somebody's up in the sighting.
Yeah. They kind of say it's going to happen tomorrow, and then you get a result. So if it's going to happen,
we'll know tomorrow.
No, tomorrow. But that's it. Like 59-10, job done. Stormers next week in Dublin.
Yeah.
5:00 kickoff, which is
much better.
Kind of that perfect time for Leinster.
Much better. 8:00 kickoff of a bank holiday weekend. Terrible time to try and sell tickets for anyway, particularly after the Heineken Cup final loss Champions Cup final loss. So it was always going to be a poorly attended game, I think, in that sense. Unfortunately, people were a little bit down. Stormers coming to town. I don't know, will that bring much more of a crowd? Hopefully it will. It's much tougher game. Like, I know Sasha is out, but
he does make them click like so much
yeah,
more. And what I think will, what his exclusion means is that Leinster Blitz will be more impactful because you don't have to focus two players on the dancing feet at 10. That's kind of what happened. But I do think,
again, Stormers traveling up on short notice, right? Like they're coming up this week and blah blah blah. Yeah, they would have known. They would probably been presuming that Lions were going to lose, but
and you'd hope and you'd think that there's some form of like hotel ready for these situations and flights ready for these situations. I assume
from a travel point of view, they have some sort of like booked able to cancel kind of situation, because they need training facilities and all that kind of stuff for a few days as well. So like you'd assume all that's sorted.
Well, there's no school, so there's plenty of schools in South Dublin.
One or two
during Leaving Cert. During Leaving Cert this year, the next week, so there's space and for them to kind of get working in. But yeah, I think that's in Leinster favourites going into the game.
I think so. Yeah, I think again, just that, even if you just apply that normal rule of away games are incredibly hard to win in rugby,
especially that type of travel, short notice.
Yeah. Missing key player, like similar to what we said about Munster, right? Like, and Stormers are in a better place than that. Can Leinster maintain the momentum from this game, like, and play well? Time will, I suppose we will see. But I would likely give it to Leinster, to win.
Yeah,
if they play well. Yeah,
I see them like winning by 7 points. It's going to be a score, and Stormers aren't mugs by any means. They have a strong pack. They have a strong scrum. I think they will give Leinster troubles in the areas we know Leinster have troubles. I just think Leinster have enough after the European Cup loss to kind of go, no, it's not happening again. I think that would be more. I think it's more psychological, and the siege mentality that the coaches are trying to create,
put in place.
From the outside in, going, everyone's against us, everyone hates us, and by us, the coaches, they mean you, the players, type of thing. And
I think interestingly, the manner of the loss against Bordeaux, like previous times, is that like it is that tiny moment here or there. It's been a great game. They've been very close, but losing poorly, like playing poorly and losing badly in a European Cup final, arguably for the first time, right? I would say, is just going to, like, that's not a thing that you're going to wipe away with just one win. Like, that's going to be, there's still going to be like, but when you're up against a good team, like, there'll be people in their own personal lives, and the media will be like, but Stormers now, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but Stormers are a team that actually can travel, and they're a team that have a bit more pedigree to them than the Lions, and they have a bit more nous about them than the Lions. And, you just layer on all those things, and that's kind of what you're looking into. And it'll be a good game. I'd fancy Leinster by a score. To be honest,
not much more though.
No, if it's any more than 10 points, I'd actually be shocked, to be honest.
I would be quite surprised. Yeah, I would then put that down to the Stormers prep, traveling up and stuff like that being a problem for them. But
or a bit of an implosion, chasing the game or something.
Yeah, breakaway try, like intercept try, change the course of the game, that kind of thing.
Then again, if you look at Sam's the one collecting into intercept tries at the moment, and also trying to throw 4. So you're like, a Leinster match, do Leinster have like a quota of intercepts that have to happen within the game? Doesn't have to concede or score them; they just have to happen.
Yeah. I like the idea of just like Tyler Brown like taking his like plan is like flipping the wrong way. It's like, we catch the intercept.
Oh wait, that's a defensive move, Jacques. Come on, get on this.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's all we can really talk about. That one game.
I mean, like, there's only one other game, right? Like in terms of Glasgow Bulls.
I'm not watching Glasgow Bulls. I'm not watching it. I can't. No.
Fair. I might cast an eye over it.
No, I'll if I'm home, I'll watch it if it's on, and if I'm not like out in the garden or something like. But
I mean, any chance for Bulls here or Glasgow?
I think Bulls have a nice strong pack. They can play a bit wide. I think they're just a bit more sane. In Murrayfield, I don't know. Like, it's on grass, which is it's a bit more of a leveler. The 4G pitch, I'd definitely say Glasgow, but over in Murrayfield, and they're trying to pitch it Scotland versus the world.
Yeah,
they're trying to get people seats on bums, fill it up, and all that type of stuff. It's I fancy Glasgow for the home favour, but once again, I can see it be very much like the Toulon match, where
Yeah.
They look like they're winning, and then the ability to grind is what Bulls have, and go through heavy carries and heavy work, and just wear Glasgow down and get the few penalties, and they'll play cup rugby. They'll go 3, 6, 9, 12.
And I
Not a
think like
problem.
on the psychological front, Bulls are so hungry for a URC title.
Yeah.
Like having lost 3 finals, a couple of them in South Africa, like they are eager to get a title.
Yes.
That might get them over the line here as well.
It's definitely something that I don't know. Bulls can be very good on their day, but they can also be very not so good on their day. And
yeah,
they have a better floor than most, if that makes sense. And I would definitely kind of think I favor Glasgow on just on the sake that they're at home. They've done it, and I think it's once again that they have a lot more to lose. And
they're an incredibly good team, right? I think their attack strike as well is really strong. They're getting a bit of form back. I think you see that in the Connacht game. Like they had lost a bit of form, I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. They're starting to pick it back up again. And this weekend will be the tell, right? But like they look like they're coming back into form at the right moment to put themselves in the final and a chance of a second title.
And like the thing for them is, no matter what happens, they'll be, if they make it through to a final, they'll be away again in the final.
Yeah,
like they are incredibly unlucky in that sense, where they're away to Stormers the first year, they're away to Glasgow 2 years ago, they're away to Leinster last year. Like if they win, it'll be away to insert Glasgow, Stormers, or Leinster here, and they don't beat a team that does it on the road, and this kind of lends me to believe it won't happen again.
No, but let's see.
But anyway, that is us for this week. It was a good game week of rugby. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week. Remember, if you want to get in touch or involved with our opinion on anything, let us know. Don't forget, there's no Connacht match this year. So if you want me to talk about something very Connacht related, now's your time. Yes. Here is your time to
send in your Connacht related questions, and we will answer them up front before we talk about the Leinster match.
Otherwise, it'll be a very quick 45-minute podcast unless Irish rugby burns down in the meantime.
Yes, or Sean Edwards is confirmed to be going to Munster, and Scott Robinson is going to Ulster, and somebody is, I don't know, Rog is coming to Leinster, and there's like ridiculous amounts of news.
If Rog goes to Leinster, I think every podcast in Ireland will know what to do. There'll be paralysis. That kind of like, what do we talk? How do we talk about this? What? No, why? How? So, but anyway, until
all the Munster fans just been like, does that mean I like Leinster now? Do I have to go to Dublin?
So until next week, get in touch. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.